Well, you know the routine, you know the drill. The drill every Sunday, every Saturday night, I read the gospel, I walk down to this location, I talk, ran for about, 10, 12, 15 minutes. And then I go over and sit on my chair, I wait for a couple seconds over there, then I get up and we continue on with Mass. Now, tonight we're going to change that a little bit. Tonight I decided I'm just going to give half of a homily. So when I'm halfway through, I'm going to stop and sit on my chair, wait for a couple minutes, then we'll continue on with Mass. Now, the half of the homily I'm going to give is the first half. All of you are going to give the second half. And don't worry, don't be concerned. I'm not going to signal anyone out, so you have to stand and fill in the rest of the homily. You're going to give the second half of the homily based upon how you live according to this gospel reading from this day forward. This is a very interesting gospel that presents two scenarios from the same sermon. Now, the gospel reading tonight in full text I just read, coming out of the 12th chapter of Luke, verses 32 to 48. We want to look at two sections. The first section we're going to look at is verse 37 and verse 43. Let's take a look at these two verses. It says, "Blessed is that servant whom the master find vigilant in his rival. Truly I say to you, the master will put that servant in charge of all of his property. You see, that servant says to himself, my master left, but he's coming back. I'm not sure when he's going to come back, but he might come back quickly. And when he does, I want to be prepared. I want to be vigilant. I want the master to see me working and ready to go so I could win some acclaim and be commended for what I'm doing. But that same servant, what would happen if he thought, well, the master is long delayed. I don't have to worry about him coming back quickly. Let's take a look at what happens in verse 44, 45, 46. But if that servant, now we're talking about the same servant, so this is a scenario he's developing in his mind. Do I do one thing or the other? But if that servant says to himself, my master delayed in coming, and it begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come on an unexpected day and an unknown hour and will punish the servant severely. When that same servant says to himself, my master left, he's not coming back, looks like he might never come back, great, I'm free to do what I want to do. He gets drunk and beats the men servants and the maid servants. You might say to yourself, isn't that unfortunate what that servant is doing? He's got these two options. But it turns out to be that is representative, that's an elegant, that's representative of nearly every person on the face of this earth, but more specifically of every Christian. We have two options in life, every moment and every day, to do the right thing or do the wrong thing. Now, you might remember back when you went to Catholic school, if you went to Catholic school, or if you went to catechism or CCD or faith formation, and we were taught when we were little, the question always was, where is God? And the answer we all got to the question, where is God? The answer is what, everyone? God is everywhere. But sometimes in life we forget the answer to that simple question. Where is God? God is everywhere. That means God's in your bedroom, and God's in a dark corner, and God's in an open, sunny place, and God's out in a narthex, and God's at the grocery store, and God's in your car. He's out on the highway. He is absolutely everywhere. But when you watch people and listen to people, and sometimes listen to yourself, what you say, the words you use, you would have to conclude sometimes that there's a whole lot of people, sometimes yourself, sometimes myself included, that although I know God is everywhere, for some reason I think right now, when I'm about to do something wrong, say something nasty, say something vulgar, God isn't right here. He doesn't see me. It's like the servant who believes that the master is long delayed, so now I can do anything I want. Versus that same servant who thinks that the master's coming back quickly, so I got to watch my P's and Q's. How do you act? A priest friend of mine was telling me he got a group of all of his altar servers together with the parents. And he was sharing with them the fact that he's going to take them to Kennywood Park. But in order to take them to Kennywood Park, he looked at the parents and he said, I have to get a couple chaperones. Some of you parents are going to have to join us on the trip down to Kennywood Park. One little altar boy in the front row raised his hand or making all kind of gestures. The priest said, yes. He said, oh, Father, please, whatever you do, please don't ask my parents to be chaperones. Don't ask my parents to be chaperones. Why not? The priest said, because if they're chaperones, then I can't have any fun. Because he realized what? If my mom and dad are chaperones, I got to be in my best behavior. I can't have any fun. Get the other guy's mom and dad to be chaperones, and I can get a little wild because my mom and dad aren't there to watch. That's the servants who had two options. To do the right thing if he thought the master was coming back quickly, or the wrong thing if he thought he was long delayed. You see, we all do that. At least we have the option to do that. For those who are husbands, husbands have a tendency to act one way when they're with the fellas down at work. But when they're with their wives, you don't even recognize them. You're so well behaved. You're not like that down at the plant. The words you use when you're with the fellas, you don't use those words with your wife. And gals the same way, wives the same way. Sometimes they act one way when with the gals, and another way with their husbands. Sons and daughters, young kids act one way with their mom and dad aren't looking. Then they act a different way. That's what happened to the servant. So the big question is this. That question we learned when we were young and has never changed. It's the same question with the same answer. There's a whole lot of stuff in the church has changed, but that answer to that one question has always consistently remained the same. Where is God? God is absolutely everywhere. Don't you think you should act like he's everywhere? He's watching your every move, listening to your every word, seeing everything that you do. Well, now I'm done with my half of the sermon. This other half of the sermon is predicated on how you decide to live from this day forward. We're remembering all the time, God is everywhere. In the darkness of your house, the brightness of the outside, he is everywhere. He hears everything you say, everything that you do. How are you going to live your life from this day forward? That's your half of the sermon that you have yet to provide because you haven't had the chance to live it. I won't know, but God will. We'll find out what he thinks about how you act and what you say.